Right, yes. Hi, I'm Zoe, I'm 21, and I am a member of Generation Z. Well, like my generation, I would say that ICT is relatively new. Growing up, I was first exposed to retro analog media before learning about the internet and getting addicted to the snake game on my mom's Nokia. And personally, I think that I and others in my generation, we grew with the sharp turn that society took towards digital technology and, ICT. I spent my elementary school days writing essays by hand without the help of online sources, let alone ChatGPT. And I had no real consistent way of contacting my friends aside from ringing their doorbell or calling their home landline. So it's a weird mix between being a millennial and, Gen Z, I guess. Well, slowly but surely, ICT crept its way into my life, my regular everyday life, especially when I entered high school. Since then, it seemed as though the world has advanced at a rapid pace. We have solar energy, electric cars, cashless transactions, and everything else. All these things seem like positive change, even more so when you factor in the climate crisis. However, it wasn't until recently that I realized not everyone had the privilege of being part of that change. Okay, earlier this year, my family purchased a small electric car. Right now, we are currently installing solar panels to our home roof. Of course, I'm happy and grateful for these because I know that ultimately they'll be good for the environment. But sadly, they also exposed me to the reality of existing wealth gaps. While people praise me for driving a quiet, eco-friendly car, jeepney drivers and tricycle drivers get the opposite response for driving loud, noisy, smoke-belching vehicles. People are right, of course, in their resolve for wanting a greener, cleaner world. But when it comes down to it, blaming the lower class only distracts us from the real issues: corruption, neoliberalism, and even Western colonialism, if you look closely. When I first heard about the jeepney phase out a few years ago, probably, at first I wondered why so many people were opposed to it, since, it seemed like a good idea. But it wasn't long after that I realized that the government expected these jeepney drivers to pay for their upgraded vehicles out of their own pockets rather than funding it themselves as they should. And so what could have been a huge improvement for the country was ultimately discarded just because our government was too selfish to use our tax money for such an upgrade. And that was definitely one of the biggest eye-openers for me. Generation Z has been labeled many things. One of the most popular things is the most sensitive generation, or the wokest generation. Maybe that's true, and maybe people mean that in a bad way, but I think those traits are our greatest strengths. We can't fix the problems we can't see, and our wokeness has opened us up to so many injustices and flaws in society. And I think that, in a way, ICT4D is the same. Without the 4D, ICT would continue to turn a blind eye on the problems it plays a part in and only stay to benefit the elite. Just like ICT for development was developed to create a more equal society, I believe that Gen Z has taken on the same role. Thank you. Very good, thanks.